Okay, so we'll get started here. Happy Earth Day, everyone. Welcome to our webinar on EQIP Advanced Payments. So everyone knows, this meeting is being recorded to use as a tool later. Our guest speakers today are Megan Duberstein. She's an EQIP program manager at the Natural Resource Conservation Service, or the NRCS. And we will also hear from two farmer panelists, Paul Maggio with Starry Nights Farm in Burlington, Wisconsin, as well as Mike Taddy. His farm is in Reedsville, Wisconsin. I will be facilitating today's discussion. I am Kelsey Wallish with Glacierland RC&D. We are a nonprofit working across eastern Wisconsin. Our goals are to assure the quality of the natural resource base for future generations. We provide area citizens with attractive, healthy, and satisfying place to live, work, and play, and thereby improving the standard of living for area residents. This is our first of two webinars funded by Go Farm Connect of Renewing the Countryside. We will be answering questions at the end of the presentations and we'll stay as long as we need to do so. Please put any questions in the chat or just raise your hand or unmute yourself at the end. So now I'm going to turn it over to and introduce Megan Duberstein from the Natural Resource Conservation Service. Take it away, Megan.
Thank you. All right, bring my slides back up. Hi, everyone. As I was introduced, I'm Megan Duberstein. I am the Environmental Quality Incentives Program, or EQIP, coordinator for Wisconsin NRCS. So I work out of our state office and I help work with our field staff so they know all the policy rules regarding EQIP. And part of that includes the advanced payment options. So I just wanted to start with what exactly is an advance payment. So this is where you can request to get 50% of the contract practice payment upfront. Normally, EQIP payments are done kind of like a reimbursement where the payment is made after the practice is installed. So if you use an advance payment, you can get 50% ahead of time to help with those installation costs. The funds that we would use for these advanced payments, they are meant to be used to purchase materials or services that would be needed to put in those practices. You can get the advanced payment for as many practices on your contract as you want. They can be at different times and all that kind of things. These also only apply to folks with EQIP contracts. They will not be eligible in CSP at this point, and they are specifically meant for historically underserved participants, which I will define in just a second here. So historically underserved includes all four of these categories. Beginning farmer, anyone that's had less than 10 consecutive years of farming or no farming experience. Socially disadvantaged farmer or rancher, so that would include American Indians, Alaskan Natives, Asian, Black or African American, Native Hawaiians, or other Pacific Islanders, and Hispanics. We also have HU status for the veteran farmers, so folks that have recently been in the armed forces within the last 10 years and have not operated a farm or ranch for more than 10 consecutive years. And the final one would be limited resource farmers. So this is a household that has the income level at or below the national poverty level. This tool that is on this slide, that's linked here, and I will post the PDF of this so everyone has it as well. That's just a quick tool. It asks you 3 questions to determine if you meet the limited resource category or not. So just a general outline of the steps for advance payments. We're looking at, you need to notify NRCS that you're interested in that, officially ask for it, verify all the practices that you're looking to get an advance payment on, signing the official form, spending those funds, and then documenting it with NRCS. So it might seem long, but I really broke this out into some very detailed slides for you all. So how and when to apply for the advance payment. You can let us know at any point you are interested in receiving an advance payment. On the application, there is specifically a question that has a check yes or no if you are interested in those advance payments. It doesn't ask for details on which practices you're thinking about. It's just that you are interested in maybe doing that. You can also just verbally tell us. It doesn't have to be marked on the application. You can change your mind about getting one at any point before that payment is received. When you're actually ready to spend those funds, and when I mean when you're ready, you have to be able to spend the funds within 90 days. So sometime in that 90-day window, when you're ready, you will officially request that advance payment for those specific practices with NRCS. And what that means is you will sign a 1245, our practice approval and payment application form. So your signature will be on it, and you will be very aware of when this advance payment would be starting. What is needed to get that advance payment? The practice that you're looking to get the advance payment on does need to have a completed design or implementation requirement. And this is information NRCS will be providing to you in your contract. So for example, if you are looking to get an advance payment on fence, you would have a fence design in your contracting paperwork that outlines where the fence is going, what type of fence is needed, how many strands of wire, what the gates need to look like, and the brace supports. All that information is detailed in that plan. It is your responsibility to make sure you review those designs, to make sure you understand how much of these items you need and what exactly you need, or that you have a contractor that you're working with that can understand that and order the correct things. I mentioned this already, but you need to be ready to purchase the materials or services within 90 days of receiving that advance payment. It's always a good idea to make sure the materials or services are readily available. There have been times where someone's been trying to order livestock pipeline, and for whatever reason, it just wasn't in stock anywhere for quite a while. Those are things to be aware of. Not typically a big issue for us, but something to think about. The other big thing to make sure that is good before getting the advance payment is the direct deposit information that we have on file is current. This happens, there's some mistakes that happen sometimes when folks tell the Farm Service Agency or FSA that they updated their banking information, but they didn't tell us. So you do need to tell FSA and NRCS when it comes to updating that banking information. And that is also going to show up, at least the last four numbers are going to show up on the CPA 1245 form that you would sign. So you can do a quick double check before you sign anything. This is just a quick example of what this form looks like that I've mentioned. So the practice approval and payment application, whatever practices or line items on your contract you're looking to get an advance payment for will show up on here. So in this example, item 1 and item 2 is both for a high tunnel, and an advance payment has been requested for both, and that's why it's indicated as an advance payment there. On the second page, at the bottom in section 4, it'll indicate who is getting the payment, followed by that last 4 digits of the account number and things like that, with the exact amount of what that payment will be. So now we're at the point where you've signed the form, the funds have shown up in your bank account, you've bought the items. What does it mean to document that you spent the funds then within the 90 days? You just need to show NRCS some kind of documentation. So receipts, invoices, work orders. If you have something that is not tangible, I just recommend talking with the field office first to make sure you guys are all on the same page of what is acceptable for providing that documentation. We try to be as flexible as possible. That documentation does need to show that the funds were spent within the 90 days. And if they are not spent within 90 days, we do have to do a cost recovery then for that advance payment. We have no flexibility in state to extend that 90-day period, so it's really important. That doesn't mean that you can't ask for it again if you did have to return it. You know, things happen, and if you had to return it, and you come back a few months later and you're ready to try again, we can issue the advance payment again at that point. The other really big thing to know is you do not have to spend the exact amount of that advance payment. We are only allowed to issue 50% of a contract item, so for an individual practice. And just because of that, since there is no flexibility there, you just need to spend part of it. So your advance payment might have been $500. As long as you can show you spent like $100, $10, anything like that, that's fine. And the practice does not need to be fully installed or implemented within 90 days. It just needs to be completed as it's scheduled in the contract. So if you have a fence that you're getting an advance payment for and it's not scheduled to be done until 2027 on the contract documents, and you wanted to get an advance payment and buy the supplies now, you can buy the fencing material now, but then you still need to get that advance payments spent within 90 days. And then when you get it implemented, it still needs to be done by that 2027 period. So we're always happy with people getting practices done early. If something is going to happen where you can't get the practice installed until after the planned year, get in touch with the NRCS office. There are options to modify contracts if we need to. They are a little bit more difficult with advance payments because of our software, but there are things we can talk about and work through. So big thing is let us know when things are coming up that are going to change the contract or you're not sure about how to handle something. Let us know, we'll work with you. And that's really the summary of advanced payments for NRCS. Hopefully it's a very quick, easy process for most people. There's just a few things to really be aware of, like that 90-day period, and being able to provide some kind of documentation.
Thank you so much, Megan. I appreciate it. It seems like a lot of information, but broken down, it seems like a simple process. I will switch over to our farmer panel and ask them a couple of questions. And then if anyone else has other questions to add to that, we can open the floor up as well. So Paul, I don't know if Paul, do you want to go first? I was going to ask, what was the project, the EQIP project that you were doing? And when did you get this 50% upfront that you went through this process? And was it as easy as Megan just explained it?
Okay. Yep. So we did fencing on probably 50 acres, 45 acres of pasture with water system, well system. So it was a pretty comprehensive plan. And then we were going to start it this year in the spring, and then all the changes happened with the contracts being dropped, et cetera. Neighbors of ours got their contracts dropped, and we didn't hear anything. And then ours was still intact, so I wasn't really sure. So I was a little bit nervous. I called up our NRCS office and talked to them and said, "Hey, what's going on here?" And they said, "Well, you're still good." I just wasn't very confident at the time. So the first thing we installed was a water system. We drilled a well. That was probably the cheapest thing. I'm like, well, at least if they cancel my contract, I'm just going to be on the hook for all of this. And I just figured I'll take that risk, and we did. And that went through. But I just had a lot of communication with our office there, and then with not only them canceling the government canceling contracts, but also with the government shutdowns about hitting a budget limit and things that also could, create a little havoc as far as the cash flow in our business. So they explained to me about this process, and someone from Glacierland also mentioned about it. So I reached out about that, and they said, yeah, we can do that. And basically they sent over a DocuSign. I didn't even have to go into the office. I do pretty much all my stuff through DocuSign now with NRCS or FSA. And I signed it, and it went through, and basically, 10 days, 2 weeks later, some of the money for the fencing came into our bank account.
Oh, that sounds like it went really smoothly.
Yeah.
Mike, how about you? Were you also doing a grazing system, and when and how easy was it for you to apply for this?
Yeah, thanks, Kelsey. Not only am I doing 2 grazing systems, I have an awesome TSP provider, Kelsey.
Thank you.
So yes, 2 rotational grazing. I call it the sheep plan and beef plan. I've actually used the advanced payment in both plans. Both are active. The sheep, we did the fencing last year, and this year we're working towards the beef one. In both instances, I didn't try for the 50% of every line item because I've got some bigger ticket and smaller ticket items. I kind of want to just kind of get the fencing, the big one out of the way. And it was very easy, as Paul described, like literally DocuSign, Jesse Manblock was very easy to work with. And then the respective people that actually worked with me on the signing, same thing, DocuSign. As Paul alluded, literally in the bank account a few days later. The key is, which Megan did on the presentation, is initial presentation, I'd say, is documentation, right? Sometimes in this world of providers, it's hard to get documentation and proper receipts and invoices. I found it very easy to provide that to NRCS, but you just want to make sure that you have clear documentation. Something else for those that are maybe listening that were like me a couple of years ago, you might be on this path where like you're applying, like I applied as Mike Toddy, the veteran, right? In the meantime, I may be creating a farm over here, right? Well, to keep things the most simplest with NRCS, everything is through Mike Toddy, right? The bank account that the money goes to, the checkbook, all of that, because it keeps it the cleanest from how I apply and how I'm reimbursed. That's just something I didn't run into any roadblocks with that, but that's something that definitely just kind of came up in discussion and as I was evolving. Bottom line, very easy, very pleased with it, and very thankful.
That's great. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. There's a question in the chat, if we don't mind switching over in gears here. This is for Megan. If the HU definition changes or is eliminated at the USDA with all of the new changes at the federal level, how would that impact advanced payments work? Would it also become eliminated as an option?
Well, I can't even begin to speculate on what may come down the road. I can say these definitions are written into the Farm Bill and the statutes that apply to that, along with the policy on how to do advanced payments. So it's part of our policy and the statutes to offer that. That of course can change at any point.
Thank you, Megan. I know there's probably a lot of questions that we all have that you may or may not be able to answer, but that was very clear. Thank you. Does anyone else have questions, either for our farmers or for Megan? If anybody wants to jump in, unmute yourself. There's one in the chat here. Let me open this quickly here. Is the process the same in other states, such as Minnesota? I know I think there's someone from Michigan here as well. Is this across all states, or is this just for Wisconsin? Oh, you're muted, Megan.
Yeah, I just noticed that. The process I outlined is the national level process. Wisconsin has not made it more specific. In our state, it is possible other states maybe have some other steps that they've included in this, but this is the basic process that every state should be starting with. It just may have more, I guess, if a state determined it was needed.
Thank you, Megan. I see someone's hand, Zuzu's hand is up. Do you want to unmute yourself and ask?
Hi, yes, just wanted to inquire, where would I apply in Indiana?
You would just work with your local NRCS office. Are you aware of where that is?
I believe in Valparaiso.
Okay, yeah. Otherwise, I'll post a website in the chat where folks can just go to look up where their closest office is, and you just stop in at the office or call them, or if you email with them regularly, that's how you just need to go in and do that.
Okay, I did see somewhere that they were closing local offices. That's why I was really curious also.
Yeah, I don't have any more details on that, but the website I post should be keeping things up to date. And I believe there will be processes in place to notify participants if an office does close or move.
Thank you.
There's another question in the chat as well. When would you, and I think we sort of touched on it, but when are you supposed to hear back from the NRCS about the approval of your application? And I guess that's maybe a question for, we could broaden that question, not just for the 50% advance payment, but where is the status of my application? Where, if you're having a hard time getting especially with turnover and shifting positions at the NRCS, if it's hard to get a hold of someone, Megan, do you have a suggestion of what your next steps are if you've tried a couple of times?
Yeah, if you're not getting a hold of the field staff for some reason, I would recommend reaching out to the area staff next. Wisconsin has 4 areas, and I believe most states around us have area levels. So that's just kind of the in between the state office and the field office. But they should be able to help you out. And if worse comes to worse, you can always reach out to the state office folks. We list all of our staff on our websites. And you'll be able to find us on the website that I posted to find the local service centers.
Thank you, Megan. Kirsten, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, thanks, Kelsey. So Megan, you said this in the presentation, but just so I understand you correctly, if somebody does an advanced request for, say, fencing supplies, but their contract schedule for that fence maybe not be until 2028, they can still get the advance payment now, and they will have until 2028 to use those materials, correct?
Correct. Yeah, it's just the funds need to be spent to buy the materials or services within the 90 days. Whenever that practice gets done, it just needs to be lined up with how that contract is scheduled. So in this example, 2028.
And if they did go ahead and install it in 2026, they could still be paid ahead of time, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Thank you. I'm just going to share that I think this is really helpful, because if people are concerned about prices increasing, this may be a good time to reach out and ask for this 50% upfront so that you can at least secure the materials for your project. So we saw that happen during COVID when we had huge price increases, and then people's contracts for cost share didn't cost out very well when they were older contracts. So I think this is a great opportunity to avoid that situation. Thank you so much for your help, Megan, and for Mike and Paul.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for adding that, Kirsten. Abby, do you have a question?
Yeah, sorry, I'm on the move, so I might have missed this. Can you clarify that 90-day window to spend those funds? Does that begin upon the transfer of funds into your account, or does that 90 days begin when you put in the request?
It begins when the funds are put into your account.
Fabulous. Thank you. That's all.
Mhm.
Are there any other hands that I'm missing? There's a couple more questions in the chat I can jump to.
I do.
So
My hand's up. No.
Oh, go ahead.
Is it okay?
Yeah. What's your question?
Okay, I just wanted to add on, piggyback off of Kirsten there. I can't help, I'm a contractor, I can't help my head go there. So you may find if you have a larger project, like, especially if your contractor is getting all your supplies, right? Because that's a whole other conversation. If you buy supplies and contractor are using them. But my caution, and this has not happened to me in this world, but in my contracting world, if you give, because Megan made this clear, you can give money for services, i.e. paying the contractor down payment. This is no different than remodeling your house. Understand your contract, understand your contractor, not between you and the NRCS, you and the contractor, because that may be a way to disperse some of those funds or all of your funds to comply with the 90 days. But now you've paid a contractor who has not yet done work for you, and we can all tell horror stories about bathroom remodels, kitchen remodels from there. Luckily for us in Wisconsin, we have a very reputable network of contractors that do fences, to be honest with you. But I don't know who's all listening, and I can't help but give that advice, and I'm sorry.
Thank you for adding that, Mike. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Did somebody else say something? That was you, Mike, I think. Okay, one of the other questions that's in the chat here is, in case of a transition, who becomes responsible for the loan? And as far as loan, do you mean for the contract, for the EQIP contract? Carmen, is that what you're asking? Or could you clarify your unmute yourself and clarify your question? She clarified. She said repayment. I'm not sure if she's clear on what the contract.
I'm trying to hold the baby. Excuse me, you all, but I'm trying to hold the baby and also
I'm sorry.
talk well. But this is so interesting, and I really appreciate everything I'm hearing. But just in case, are both spouses responsible for the loan? If a transition takes place, who becomes responsible, or does it go back? There's got to, from my mind, there's got to be some repercussion or recouping for the loss of that individual.
Yeah, if this is in the context of getting an EQIP contract, I just want to clarify that those would not be loans. They are considered taxable income and it's financial assistance. But whoever is responsible for it is the person or persons that are on the contract. So just because maybe a husband and wife own the land together where these activities are going, only one of them has to have a contract. They can both be on it if they'd like, but whatever name is on the contract is responsible for getting the contract done. And it is possible to transfer a contract over. You know, maybe you're a new farmer and you started off as an individual, but now you want to transfer your contract over to a new entity that you made, or you're selling the farm property and a new farmer is going to come in and they're interested in taking over that contract. We can transfer that over to them and then it's their responsibility. Does that help, Carmen?
Yeah, it does. It gives me a lot of clarification there. Thank you.
Another question, what is the cost or penalty in case if we end up not using the entire amount within the 90 days?
So you do not need to use the entire amount of the advance payment within 90 days. You just need to spend at least a portion of it on services and supplies. If you don't spend any of it within 90 days, we will have to ask for those funds back to put repaid back into the contract. It doesn't penalize you in any way, but it is something you would have to pay back to our Treasury Department. And then if in the future you wanted to try an advance payment again, even for that same practice, we can go through the process again. But there's not an extra tacked on penalty. It's just you have to pay the funds back if it didn't get spent at all.
Thank you, Megan. Another question that was asked a little bit earlier, and I didn't answer it right away. I was gonna look at towards when we close up. I'll answer this. We can answer this question in a little bit more detail. But this question asks, I haven't done anything with NRCS or EQIP before. Where do I start? And a second part of that question is, are the no fence or virtual fences a possible option with EQIP funding? I'll jump in here and answer part of this. That the first part with where do you even get started with EQIP? That's actually, I mentioned earlier that this is the first part of 2 virtual events that we're doing. Our second one is going to be answering that question exactly. So I don't want to get too far into that rabbit hole, but Derek, I can certainly work with you and talk with you afterwards if you have more questions about EQIP. And I do believe, Megan, maybe you could answer, but I do believe the virtual fences, they're working on getting that fundable practice.
Yeah,
it is now.
Wisconsin is piloting it. I cannot speak for other states right now if they've been working with that yet or not.
Okay. Another question, are advanced payments available when EQIP practices are implemented on state or other public lands? EQIP is eligible for farmers who have contracts on public lands for 6 or more years.
Yeah, an advance payment is available for any EQIP contract with HU participants on it. So it doesn't matter if that land is privately owned or owned state or public land. As long as you have the lease saying you can put that practice there, you're good to go.
Thank you. I am going to, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm going to put in the chat here our link for Glacierland's upcoming events, and you will see the registration for the other event that I was talking about on just basic general where to start with for EQIP is what this is going to be about. And you'll see our flyer and our registration for that and some of our other events coming up as well. That is posted there. Another question. If you are new to NRCS and live in Minnesota, send me a message for, send me a message, for free personalized one-on-one support with the process, applications, etc. I am a conservation connector with Renewing the Countryside. We are offering this free support. That was from Gilbert. He's also from the Renewing the Countryside who helped us organize this event for today. Do we have other questions? Are there other hands risen? Does anyone want to unmute themselves, jump in and ask any more questions?
This is Kristen. I just, again, want to thank our presenters, Paul Maggio, Mike Taddy, and Megan for sharing, because I think this is a great opportunity. So thank you all.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Kristen. And thank you all for being here. It looked like Linda, you maybe had another question?
I'm in Michigan, so I love you guys in Wisconsin and Minnesota. You guys rock. You're doing so much. Thank you. Great information. Thank you.
Any other last questions? Another thank you in the chat. Yes, thank you very much, Megan and Paul and Mike, for your time today. That was a lot of really, really great information. I know there's lots more. We went through a lot of information, but I think we're pretty clear on how the process all comes together. So I really appreciate everyone's time today. Thank you.